Imagine a world without humans. Things will always go in a certain direction, in a certain trajectory, without any modification, any change, because it is humans that cause and facilitate change upon the earth. That's why when God created the earth, He said, what? Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. Because we are the one that determines the things that happen upon the earth. This is Mystery Monday, and today we want to look at the mystery of man. What is man, really? Who are we as human beings upon the face of the earth? We are made to understand from scriptures that the earth has been given to the children of men. Just think about it. Imagine your phone without a user. If someone gives you a phone, for example, it becomes yours. It becomes yours to use, it becomes yours to handle. And so that's how the earth also was given to us, so that we can use and so that we can handle everything upon the earth. Talk about the land, talk about the sea, talk about the air. Everything has been given to man to control, to handle, and to have dominion over. And so if humans were not a part of this equation, the earth will just be dormant. The earth itself will self-destruct, because there is nothing that is happening upon the face of the earth. As a human beings are very, very paramount and very, very critical and important in the things that happen upon the earth. It doesn't matter how technology advances. We look at the things that are happening now, and people are saying that this AI, this and this and that. No. God has given the earth to the children of men, not to AI. And so human beings have to be upon the earth for the earth, at least for this dispensation of time, to be complete and to perform its intention as God designed it. And so if humans were not on earth, everything would just be going predictably, and with certainty. Or if human beings were just few upon the earth, nothing so massive or significant will be happening. Civilization will really be slow if there are no billions of people upon the earth. It's because of these human beings that come to the earth that create a need. Because of the multiple people upon the earth, there is now a need that is created. There is now a need that needs to be met to cater for numerous people upon the earth. And so because of that need, one thing about life is that if there is a need, there is a solution that will be provoked to meet that need. But if there is no need, there will not be any need for a provocation of any solution. That's why sometimes if you realize that you need a certain kind of money, you just realize that you try to pressure yourself, try to look for a way to get that money, because there is a deadline to meet. And that's how life is. When there is a need, when there is a deadline, when there is something that needs to be done, solutions will come forth. That's why they say that when there is a will, there is a way. There is nothing impossible upon the earth. That's why if you can believe that something can happen, if you can capture it within the fabrics of your heart, you'll be able to see a performance of that which is meant to be. In fact, nothing just happens without an intervening force. Other creation couldn't just happen by itself without somebody behind it. Or do you think your phone can just come out of the rocks without anybody crafting the components together? No, there has to be some work that causes a thing to be formed, that causes a reaction to happen. For example, water can be spilling in a place. It will keep on spilling unless a being comes to tamper with the flow, to hinder it from flowing any longer. And that's how the trajectory of a person's life can keep on going in a certain tangent. In physics, there is a law that says, Newton's law of motion, that a body will remain in a state of rest or in uniform motion unless acted upon by an external force. Right? So that's how life is. So your life can be going in a certain trajectory. Whatever will be will not be, because there has to be an action from a man in order to change the direction of that life. A world without man will be without news, without any happenings, without any event that that is significant, or that sparks up interest or sparks up some sort of joy. upon the earth without a man. As why we're saying all this is because there is a need for every one of us to understand our unique potentials as men and women upon the earth, and to arise to fulfill it. Imagine a world without humans. No value will be created. Everywhere will just be dormant. Everywhere will just be, be absolutely dead without humans. Imagine a house, for example, without anybody living in it. You realize that after some time, the house will look so pale, so dull, and even the components, the elements of the house will begin to lose their value, begin to depreciate so massively. That's why God had to first create everything upon the earth, and then He created man and give man authority and control over the face of the earth. And so there is something you are meant to do upon the earth, and you need to understand that without you arising to fulfill that which you are meant to do, things will keep on going in a certain direction, in a certain trajectory, without any significant thing or change happening upon the earth. Meanwhile, you are born for such a time as this. You are born to make an impact. You are born to make a change and to dissuade, to not to allow things to move anymore in the direction in which they are. If you see a problem, there is something you have to do about it. Maybe you are done as to provide a solution, or you are meant to collaborate with the person that will provide the solution, or you are meant to alert and create awareness of that problem so that people will provide the solution. There is just something that you ought to do as a man. And if you look at man, if you try to break man and divide man into some aspect and component, we realize that there is this physical aspect of man and there is this non-physical aspect of man. The physical aspects of man are the things that we can see, the things that we can touch, the things that we can feel, so to say, with our with the sensory nerves on our body. But the non-physical aspect of man happens to drive even the physical aspect. For example, it is when you think of doing something that your hand begins to do it. When you think of going to a place, your legs begin to go to that place. When you desire to go to a certain kind of location, then your body begins to move, your physical aspect begins to move. So in other words, it flows from the non-physical aspect to the physical. That is the mystery of man. And so in the equation, actually, it flows from the spirit to the soul to the body. Let me bring a more clearer perspective to this. You see people sometimes, they feel a certain kind of way, maybe towards a thing or towards a phenomenon, and then they begin to move in that direction, and you think that, wow, it seems that it's coming from the spirit. There is already a programming in the spiritual climb that has caused the soul of people to vibrate in that direction. And once the soul can pick up that frequency, once the soul can desire that thing, once the soul can desire or can love that certain phenomenon, the body will begin to respond to it. And that's how God created man to live, to function first from the spirit to the soul and then to the body. And that's why in the aspect of the transformation of man, in the aspect of the growth of a man, what the person is fed with can determine how the course of life of a person. And when the person begins to go in a certain direction, other things too begin to correspond, because man conditions environment. Man determines that which would happen upon the face of the earth. And so your environment will not naturally change unless the man himself changes. Most times you look for our situations to change, but they don't change because you have not changed. Your environment responds to the man. You have the authority to condition, to change your environment. And so it flows from the spirit to the soul to the body. And so what is your spirit tuned to? What frequency, what aspect of life is your spirit tuned to? That's a very important question you must ask yourself. Because there's a lot of things that happen that we do not certainly have control over. For example, we sleep at night, and then our spirit begins to navigate into different aspects of life. I know people say that, oh, life is just physical, it is what you see that you get. Not exactly. right? Because there is something deeper that controls man. The physical are just the things, the expressive part of man, but that which is on the control tower. For example, now in technology, when you are building a product, there is something called the front end and the back end, right? So what the user sees on the front end is just an expression of the programming that has gone on at the back end. And that's how man is. What we see people do, what we hear people say, is as a result of the programming that has gone into the non-physical aspects of their lives. And so when we're talking about this is because we're talking about the mystery of man, trying to look at how man functions and how things are impacted by man upon the face of the earth. And so by this understanding, you'll be able to condition the things that enter into the gates of your mind, the things that form your perspective, your view, your opinion of things. Because more often than not, there is a tendency for people to be deceived, for example, because there is a programming that has gone on in the client, and because of that programming, people begin to sometimes subconsciously flow in that direction. And so must be deliberate. And the truth is that when that programming has occurred in the spirit, it is because there is a certain way they want the earth to begin to flow and function. They want the things, the events, the happenings, the phenomena upon the earth to begin to work and to begin to function. And so by that understanding, you'll be more deliberate. When you're taking a decision, ask yourself again, wait, am I just taking it? Why am I taking this decision? Look at it in a broader perspective. Because one thing about man is that man lives from day to day. We do not live tomorrow today, but we can influence tomorrow by what we do today. So it is in our little actions that accumulate to create a more bogus and large effect of things upon the face of the earth. And so there are questions we must ask ourselves in order to be effective as men upon the earth. And that's why the princes of this world, they understand this thing about man, that man has been given authority. If man does something, it can change the climate. If men decide to come together in unity and to achieve a particular task, they can do it because they have the authority, they have the control. Devils do not have that control. Demons, angels do not have that control to effect things upon the face of the earth, but man has. And so what they just do is that they understand the wiring, the programming of man, that it flows from the spirit to the soul to the body. And so they begin to condition. There is a contention, a strong contention in the spiritual atmosphere. And that's why as a man, you must never take your spiritual life, just lackadaisically or just, placidly, without understanding what you are meant to do upon the face of the earth. So you must ensure that your spiritual life as a Christian, as a child of God, as a son and daughter of the kingdom, you must ensure that your spiritual life is always top notch, because that is what flows, that is what controls the other aspects of your life, whether you know it or not. Why do you not realize that sometimes when you're on fire spiritually, it's as if everything around you sometimes just seems to be aligning, just seems to be working. Even things that were not, that were not preconceived, or things that you didn't anticipate to happen. You just realize that even when they come, those uncertainties, uncertainties that happen, they begin to also flow in. They do not disconnect you totally from the path in which you are going. For example, if you have a certain task you have to do on a particular day, any emergency that comes just begins to enter in and begins to fit in order to create a flow, because of what the spiritual realm is already in control. And so every other thing that is expressed physically begins to also fall in line. The Bible says that the lines are falling onto us in pleasant places. It says that all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So there is a lot actually about man. But one thing I want you to understand is that anything that is happening upon the earth, a man is behind it. Because God has given authority to man. If man refuses to say, no, today I'm not going out, and he sits down, he locks himself, nobody can cause him to go out once he has made up his mind. Because there's that authority that has been given to man. Hallelujah. So I hope you've really been, enlightened through this about the mystery of men. and you can see, okay, there is something I can do to my environment. I can change where I am. I can change how I think. I can change, because of how I think, I can change the things that happen around me. And so I hope as you apply these certain principles, you will experience transformation in your life, in your environment, and also in the world by the grace, the strength, and might of the Lord.